This is an examination of abortion through the technical aspects of slavery. The definition of slavery is the status or condition of a person over whom any or all of the powers attaching to the right of ownership are exercised. This is defined by international law. The right of ownership is tightly coupled to the concept of property rights. As such, we'll be examining the actual question of what are the powers through the lens of property rights. The type of property rights in question are the right to use, to earn income from property, to transfer that property, and to enforce your rights on that property. Here is my best attempt at breaking down the various four rights, which are themselves powers that attach to the fundamental right of ownership. To understand these concepts, we'll be working with two thought experiments at the same time. The first one is the concept of use with consent. If a third party were to modify my cup with consent, there would be no issue. If they were to destroy my cup with consent, there would be no issue. Now, in the case of Hazel's body, we'll go with a tattoo. As long as there's consent, there's no issue. Now, in the next part, we'll assume that Hazel has a fatal disease and is not curable. In this particular instance, depending on her jurisdiction, such as if it was in Washington State, she could go for assisted suicide. And in which case, by these standards, there'll be no issue. Now, in the case of use without consent, for a third party to modify my cup, that's vandalism. Or to destroy my cup is also vandalism. But you also notice that this concept carries over to Hazel's body. To modify Hazel without her consent is assault. And to destroy her body without her consent is murder. Now we will explore the concept of transfer with consent using a letter instead of a cup. In this case, the letter is managed by a mail carrier, and Hazel's body is managed by general circumstances as shown, such as a surgeon. You'll see under this context of transfer with consent, there are no conflicts. In this case of transfer without consent, my letter is stolen by a stranger and is manhandled in various ways. I, through my property, suffer several violations. On the same categorical roles, Hazel suffers violations as well through the actions against her body. If you agreed with the previous, continue on. So what does a fetus do to Hazel's body? With her consent, there is no issue. Without, however, following from the previous examinations, acts to modify or assault the fetus's locality means it is a squatter and that it's trespassing against her body without consent. and is also a thief stealing from her body. Again, there are uncategorical lines, and it should be treated as such. Now let's look at the GOP. Through the use of various laws, they unnecessarily strip a woman of the ability to police her own body, as to be imposing the actions of not only themselves, but the functions and operations of the fetus against her consent. Namely, they've done so in a manner that has stolen her right of ownership over her own body under the power and color of law, to make it nearly impossible for Hazel to get a legal abortion. In conclusion, women are not property.